Two numbers tell the story of Florida's pivot. In one county, pending sales jumped 40% in January, while more than 2,000 sellers cut prices. In another corner, foreign search interest surged even as a purchase ban hung in the air. Start in Collier County. This is Naples, early 2000-2006, measured with precision. Pending sales in January rose 40% compared with January a year earlier. In the same month, 2,053 listings lowered their asking price, while 1,906 new listings hit the market. Inventory stood at 6,328 properties, down 10.6%, stretching into 9.2 months of inventory. Months of inventory is the time it would take to sell everything on the market at the current sales pace. At 9.2, analysts here called it a return to balance. Balance does not mean stillness. The median closed price in January landed at $627,500, down 4.1% year over year. But that average conceals a split. Condominiums pulled the figure lower, with a 3.4% dip to $450,000, while single-family homes moved the other way, up 1.6% to an $812,500 median. The money powering those deals was mostly cash. 67% of January sales closed without a mortgage. That share of cash buying changes the way a market breathes. It also means contracts can move quickly, but even in a fast market, closing takes time. A sale under contract can take up to 90 days to close, so January's pending surge will spill into February and March closings. Closed sales themselves edged up 0.5% to 564 in January. Within that sum, condos gained 8.2% to 276 closings, and single-family homes slipped 5.9% to 288 closed deals. The composition of what sold also shifted. Closed sales of homes with 4 or more bedrooms rose 9%. In the luxury condo tier, velocity sharpened. Condos priced over $5 million sold fastest, with days on market falling 31% to 105 days. Location continued to reward patience nearest the water. In central Naples, zip codes 34104, 341105, and 34116, the median closed price for single-family homes climbed 11.4% to $715,000. Along the Naples beach, zip codes 3410, 234103, and 34108, the single-family median rose 5.8% to $2,645,000. This is the what. Now, the why. Two levers moved at once. Sellers reset prices earlier, and buyers kept showing up at the top of the market. Those 2053 January price decreases were not end-of-season capitulations. They were early positioning. The message landing in Collier County was simple: competitively priced properties move. Beneath that ethos lives an intensely analytical consumer. Across the river in Cape Coral, where sellers are learning the same lesson, properly priced listings are attracting offers an average of 3 weeks faster than overpriced comparables in the same neighborhoods. That timing gap, 21 days between success and silence, is the kind of number that makes a homeowner rethink a starting list price. In Southwest Florida today, presentation quality, staging, and honest market assessments matter because buyers are comparing multiple properties side by side before they act. The second lever is who is buying in South Florida and how. Across Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach, the luxury segment pushed into 2026 with steadier footing than most expected. While many markets around the country adjusted to higher interest rates in recent years, this region's high end entered the new year with investor confidence and forward momentum. Forecasts point toward approximately 2.8% price growth in 2026 and 3.5% in 2007 for luxury properties. That is not a sugar rush, it's a signal of steady digestion. The reasons track to finance as much as to sunshine. Florida's absence of a state income tax can improve net outcomes for high earners weighing where to anchor capital. That arithmetic compounds when the product is scarce and desirable, prime waterfronts, amenity-rich towers, and well-located single-family homes. In Brickell, a younger professional base values vertical luxury and walkability near the financial district. Downtown Miami caters to similar tastes. Palm Beach remains the realm of legacy estates and privacy. Fort Lauderdale offers waterfront living with slightly more approachable price points tied to a yachting lifestyle that keeps docks and decks in motion. The buyers are not only domestic. In January, China rose to the top of international search activity for South Florida properties. 4 Chinese cities, Lanzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Qingdao, ranked among the top 10 international origin cities searching for homes. That surge happened despite a serious policy headwind. Florida Senate Bill 264, the law bans Chinese nationals without permanent U.S. residency from buying property or land in Florida. Legal challenges have, for now, frozen enforcement, creating a paradox, more interest colliding with restricted ability to purchase. Zoom out to the prior year and the weight of international demand becomes clear. In 2,200, 5 foreign buyers accounted for 15% of transactions in South Florida. That's 7 times the 2% share nationally and more than 3 times Florida's 5% figure. The composition of that demand was concentrated from the Americas. Colombia led with 15% of foreign buyer share in Miami, followed by Argentina at 12%. Mexico and Brazil each accounted for 7%. When 15% of a metro's housing transactions flow from international buyers, the runway for luxury can lengthen even as mid-tier sellers reprice. Put the pieces together, and the causal chain crystallizes. In Naples and Collier County, with 9.2 months of inventory, the market stepped off its pandemic tilt and into balance. Sellers adjusted early, cutting 2,053 asking prices in January, and found traction as pending sales jumped 40%. Cash dominated 67% of sales, muting the bite of mortgage rates for a large cohort and keeping luxury condos priced above $5 million, moving in 105 days on average. Single-family homes showed bifurcation, a 1.6% rise in the county median to $812,500, but pronounced strength nearest the beach, including a jump to $2,645,000 along zip codes 34102, 34103, and 34108. Condominiums, with a 3.4% dip to $450,000, dragged the county-wide median to $627,500, down 4.1% overall. And because pending deals can take up to 90 days to close, the spike in January contracts sets the table for higher February and March closing tallies. On the ground, that looks like a saturated page of price adjustments and staging upgrades. It looks like agents in Cape Coral urging sellers to tighten list prices and polish presentation because the data shows properly priced homes draw offers 3 weeks sooner. It looks like buyers running comparisons across neighborhoods and zip codes, 3410, 4 versus 34108, and asking themselves whether an 11.4% gain to $715,000 in Central, Naples, or a 5.8% rise to $2,645,000 along the beach aligns with their expectations. It looks like builders and brokers studying the 105-day glide path for $5 million plus condos, 31% faster than a year earlier, and recalibrating launch timelines and pre-construction release strategies. It also looks like a spigot of global attention widening, even as the rules grow more complicated. In January, with China leading international searches, and Lanzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Qingdao, all among the top 10 cities scanning listings, the appetite was evident. But Florida Senate Bill 264, while on hold due to ongoing challenges, still bans purchases by Chinese nationals without permanent U.S. residency. That legal cloud can slow the conversion of clicks to closings. Yet the broader international base remains powerful. 15% of all South Florida buyers in 2000 came from outside the U.S., led by Colombia at 15% and Argentina at 12%, with Mexico and Brazil each at 7%. That level of external capital helps explain why price forecasts for luxury point to 2.8% growth in 2026 and 3.5% in 2002. Who is most affected by this reset and resilience? In Collier County, condo sellers face a more competitive field at a $450,000 median, with 2,053 price reductions signaling urgency and realism. Single-family homeowners near the water, by contrast, are still seeing gains, 11.4% to $715,000 in Central Naples, and 5.8% to $2,645,000 along the beach zips, driven by scarcity and lifestyle premium. Buyers with cash, the 67%, have leverage in speed and certainty, often sealing deals within the 105-day window at the top end. Buyers relying on financing will navigate a different path, timelines stretching up to 90 days from contract to close, in a market where inventory at 9.2 months gives them options but not unlimited time. For agents and sellers in Cape Coral and across Southwest Florida, the 3-week advantage tied to pricing accuracy is a hard metric that can make or break a listing's momentum. The ripple effects are tangible. Lenders feel less central in cash-heavy transactions when 67% of deals bypass traditional financing. For developers and marketers of new high-rise product in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, pre-construction interests leans toward high-amenity offerings, with the knowledge that condos above $5 million can move within 105 days when positioned correctly. For property managers and owners seeking income, seasonal demand remains a pillar in South Florida, and forecasts of 2.8% and 3.5% growth over the next 2 years suggest a path of steady appreciation layered over rental yields. For policymakers, Senate Bill 264 is more than text. It's a live wire running through monthly traffic, with January's spike in Chinese searches arriving even as enforcement remains frozen. Signals also suggest a divide in price sensitivity. In Collier County, the overall median fell 4.1% to $627,500 because condo sellers met the market. Yet single-family medians rose to $812,500 across the county and pushed far higher near the beach, while homes with 4 or more bedrooms saw a 9% jump in closed sales. That combination tells a story. Larger, well-located, and luxury-tier properties pulled a disproportionate share of demand. The swift 105-day cadence for condos above $5 million, down 31%, cements that conclusion. Back on the seller's side of the ledger, the motivations are clear. With 1,906 new listings in January and 6,328 properties on the market overall, sellers faced competition. 2,053 price decreases in a single month are not a footnote. They are a strategy. Start near where the buyers already are. In Cape Coral, the payoff is quantifiable, a 3-week head start in attracting offers when the price meets the moment. Presentation matters too, polished photography, staging, and condition, because analytical buyers comparing multiple entries will penalize anything that reads as out of line. Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach play this game on a different field, but the scoreboard still runs on numbers. The 15% international buyer share in 2025 versus 2% across the U.S., and 5% statewide concentrated the market around global capital. The top countries are telling Colombia at 15% and Argentina at 12%, show how deeply the region is woven into Latin America's financial rhythms. Mexico and Brazil, each at 7%, add breadth. Layer in the January surge in searches from China and the reality that enforcement of Senate Bill 264 is frozen for now, and it becomes clear why forecasts for luxury hold at 2.8% growth this year and 3.5% next year. Neighborhood by neighborhood, the demand looks different. Brickell's audience wants high-rise efficiency and proximity to the office. Downtown Miami layers culture and connectivity onto similar vertical product. Palm Beach leans into estates and privacy, often beyond the $5 million mark where 105-day sell times are possible when marketed and priced with precision. Fort Lauderdale's waterfront inventory delivers on lifestyle at relative value, a phrase that starts to mean something when a Naples Beach single-family median sits at $2,645,000 and Central Naples, 34104, 34105, 34116, prints $715,000 with an 11.4% year-over-year rise. Affordability is not the theme. Strategy is. Sellers cutting 2,053 prices in January did not surrender. They repositioned. The data vindicated them with a 40% surge in pending contracts, 564 closings, up 0.5%, and 276 condo transactions closing 8.2% higher. Buyers benefited from 9.2 months of inventory, enough to compare, to negotiate, to wait out a listing that would likely cut, and from a market where even as single-family medians rose 1.6% to $812,500, the overall median slid to $627,500, thanks to that 3.4% drop in condo medians to $450,000. If you're holding a 4-bedroom listing, the odds quietly improved. 9% more closings for homes with 4 or more bedrooms. If you're holding a $5 million plus condo, the days on market trended in your favor, down 31% to 105 days. If you're holding a condo at a more modest price point, you're watching those 2,053 reductions and calculating where your list price needs to land to capture the first wave of showings. The interplay between pending and closed sales will be the tell. With contracts able to take up to 90 days to close, the January spike will echo into late winter and early spring. If February and March closed sales accelerate from January's 564 by a multiple consistent with the 40% rise in pendings, it will confirm that price realism, measured in 2,053 cuts, unclogged the pipeline. The investor's lens frames a larger question: where does growth live? The forecast of 2.8% in 2006 and 3.5% in 2007 suggests it lives in luxury, in markets like Miami and Palm Beach, and in product categories with durable scarcity. Waterfront, 5-star amenity towers, walkable urban cores like Brickell, these segments match the profile of a buyer pool that is at once domestic and foreign, where 15% of all South Florida deals in 2000 came from outside the U.S., led by Colombia at 15% and Argentina at 12%, with Mexico and Brazil at 7% each. Policy will decide how much of that demand can transact. Senate Bill 264's ban on purchases by Chinese nationals without permanent residency is real policy with real impact potential. For now, enforcement is frozen, and in January, Chinese interest topped the international search rankings with Lanzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Qingdao all in the top 10 cities clicking through property pages. That mismatch, interest up, legal pathway uncertain, will reverberate through brokers' pipelines and developers' pre-sales calculations. Across Southwest Florida, the tactical lesson carries the day: price right and move early. In Cape Coral, that difference is measurable, 3 weeks faster to offers when the price is aligned with market reality. In Collier County, early season price cuts, 2,053 of them coincided with a 40% leap in contracts. Those numbers do not happen by accident. So what's next? Base case through the next 6 to 12 months looks like this. Collier County sustains a balanced posture around 9.2 months of inventory, with sellers maintaining competitive pricing earlier in the season and buyers continuing to separate condos from single-family on value. Expect overall median prices to hover near January's $627,500, while condos consolidate around the $450,000 median and single-family medians keep inching above $812,500, with outliers in central Naples and the beach zips 3410, 43410, 5, 34116, 34102, 34103, 34108, showing stronger gains. Cash remains a defining driver. If the 67% cash share persists, segments tied to wealth and lifestyle should keep momentum. In Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach, luxury price growth around 2.8% this year and 3.5% next year remains plausible, supported by 15% international buyer participation and domestic high earners weighing tax efficiency. 2 watch items should sit at the top of every dashboard. First, policy risk tied to Senate Bill 264. If enforcement unfreezes in the next quarter, expect a cooling effect on the January pipeline of Chinese interest, even with Lanzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Qingdao generating top 10 search volume. If legal challenges extend the freeze through mid-year, that interest could begin to translate where buyers qualify under the law. Second, the condo versus single-family split in Collier County. If condo medians stay near $450,000, while single-family medians hold at $812,500, and beach area single-family medians maintain, $2,645,000, the market will continue to bifurcate, and the pace differential will widen, already 105 days for $5 million plus condos, and rising velocity for 4+ bedroom homes, with 9% more closings. Watch whether price cuts stay elevated. Another 2,000 plus in a single month would signal that the repricing cycle is not done, and whether pending sales can maintain a double-digit lead over last year beyond January's 40% spike. If you're an owner or buyer taking notes, translate the macro into moves. For sellers in Collier County, be prepared to adjust quickly. 2,053 neighbors already did in January. And remember that properly priced listings can capture offers 3 weeks faster. For buyers, use the 9.2 months of inventory to your advantage. Compare across zip codes and product types, and track days on market. 105 days is a key luxury benchmark right now. For investors considering South Florida luxury, underwrite to a 2.8% growth rate this year and 3.5% next year, and stress test for policy surprises that might shift international demand composition, even as the overall foreign share remains a sturdy 15%. Florida's market is not breaking. It is sorting itself out quietly, firmly, with numbers that point to balance in Naples and endurance in Miami. 40% more pendings off the back of 2,053 price reductions, 6,208 properties, and 9.2 months of inventory. Medians at $602,500 overall, $450,000 for condos, $812,500 for single family, 67% cash. 105 days to move a $5 million plus condo, 15% foreign buyer share, with Colombia at 15% and Argentina at 12% in Miami. January searches, led by China, Lanzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, Qingdao, even as Senate Bill 264 waits in the wings. Those are the markers on the road ahead. Read them, not the noise. If you want more Florida market breakdowns grounded in hard numbers and clear takeaways, stick around for the next deep dive.